Hi, thanks everyone. Thank you for joining us at Illuminate in 2022. I'm here with Raj from Automation Anywhere, who's going to talk to us about using data to automate and accelerate their cloud operations. So with that, a little quick introduction to Raj.
Thank you, Abel. I am Raj from Automation Anywhere. I lead the US cloud operations. My primary role at Automation Anywhere is to evangelize Sumo Logic within the organization and build a partnership with Sumo. My overall industry experience is I've been in the industry for 20 plus. I was with Paxara Terabot, and there we were using Splunk. Now I'm here with Sumo.
It's a great convert. So Raj, let's just talk a little bit about Automation Anywhere and what the company does.
Automation Anywhere. The first thing in people's mind should be, what should we automate next? So we will try to help you with automating any business process. We are here not to replace humans. We are here to augment humans with the digital workforce. And we have tons of bots built by the customers and community. So we have millions of bots running across the world, helping the organization to transform their business and building digital workforce. And we are changing the world, how they work.
Yeah, so that's awesome. And I mean, we hate doing all the tedious tasks, so it's a really amazing service that you provide. So now we're going to talk about your observability journey and how do you approach it at Automation Anywhere using Sumo Logic. So tell us a little bit more of like how you've deployed Sumo Logic in Automation Anywhere.
Sure. So our primary goal at Automation Anywhere is we want to collect and search data. That's a simple thing. Then once we search the data, then we want to build dashboards around it. Then we build monitoring around it, and we build alerting and notification. So how do we do this? We build using continuous tier and data infrequent tier, how we segregate the data. And then we use tons of Sumo Logic tools, which helps us to scale our observability infrastructure. So example is schedule monitors, schedule search, monitors.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's great that you're using the continuous and the infrequent because that way you can get all of the data in. Because as we were talking, we were looking at like what your engineers are doing and the challenge that you have with the growing amount of data. So can you tell us a little bit more like how you've tackled those problems?
Sure. As usual, business is growing, but just because it's COVID, it doesn't mean that our engineers are not building features and not helping the customers. We are building more features, we are building more customers, and the customers are running their bots more because they are transforming their business. So in other words, we are ingesting tons of logs. So logs is nothing but data for us, here in this case for Sumo. But the scale at logs is growing, is humongous, and budget is not scaling as fast as the logs.
Yeah,
that's a standard problem. Just not us. Everybody in the industry has the same problem.
Yeah, you're a victim of your own success. Because I know when I start automating things, and then it's just like, oh, I don't have to worry about it. Like there's something to it. Like I want to do more about it.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at that explosion of data, we were talking around like what the challenges are around this. And I love how you described it here. So can you tell us a little bit more of it?
So we want to do is basically we see that logs are growing, and we have ingest budgets, which are great features within the Sumo Logic, but it comes with its own product limitations, like how do we segregate between infrequent tier and continuous tier? Today, they are a cumulative budget monitoring. And second is, hey, if I'm scaling only at the continuous tier, which is the most expensive of the platform, I don't need to be worried about infrequent tier, but we still get alerted because it's a cumulative thing. So that is helping us to limit how we monitor and scale. Third is, when we have a spike, like for example, when we release a new feature or customers are using our bots to do certain activities which explodes in the system. So suddenly tons of piles of logs are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So that means we are going into a firefighting mode with all these logs.
Yeah.
That's a really, really challenging. When I started, that was a big problem. It's not that easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like something happens and it's like, oh my God, like there's a change in pattern. And then you have to go sift through all of this information. And I love how you put it in here with the needle in the haystack and how you approach it with the log search.
Yeah, so I would say that it's not just anymore a needle in the haystack. It's now a needle in needle stack.
Yeah.
So that's even more tougher to analyze for us. It's a rocket science.
Yeah, definitely, and we see like that explosion of data just all across our different customers. So tell us how you solved it using Sumo.
Sure, there are a couple of things basically. One is we leverage Sumo to the maximums. Like we use Sumo schedule search to monitor our data. Initially, we started with a percentage that didn't work. Then we started with monitoring 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. That also didn't work because our Monday logs are not the same as Tuesday logs versus weekend logs. So now we started building logic like, hey, Monday logs with the previous Monday and the previous Monday. So now we set a threshold there. If it exceeds that threshold, alert us. Same thing with the infrequent tier. So now we have scoped from a huge pile of logs, suddenly a smaller set of pile which we need to focus on. Then we have dashboards which helps us like to run through the log messages, just a grouping by certain like a 30 thing, and we can quickly analyze the log which is spiking, and then we go to the next step.
You like reduce the amount of haystacks, and like my Monday looks like this, and like this Monday looks like that, and then just doing it there. And I know you have an example there of a Jira ticket that gets kicked off. Can you describe it a little bit?
Sure. Like if you look at it, I say one of the Kubernetes cluster is we have tons of footprints across the world. Like we have X number of data centers, like 14 plus. So now analyzing each and every cluster, because we are generating terabytes of data. You don't want to look at the terabytes. Rather, we want to look at only the pattern which changes for the particular cluster. So here is a sample EKS cluster. So I just put a template name there, not the actual name. Yeah. And you can see there, if we want to send alert, then we mark it as true. And then automatically it gets triggered by an Opsgenie alert. So this is a Jira ticket which we receive. The on-call engineer looks at it real time and fixes it.
Yeah, and I love like how you save go from days to less than 30 minutes. I mean, that's amazing. And just like like having those flows between continuous and infrequent. So tell us a little bit about like how those differ.
Sure. So what we said earlier is basically the ingest budgets cannot be segregated between continuous and infrequent. So what we did is we kept separate monitoring, one for continuous tier and one for infrequent tier. And then we built dashboards to look at the logs. This is to alert. Schedule search is for alerting. And then Sumo Logic dashboards is for triaging what that needle in the needle stack.
Needle stack, yeah. And that's super exciting, but like we talked about it, it's like, but wait, there's more. Like, what are you looking to do next?
Yeah, so alerts and notifications are great, but we don't want to limit ourselves where we are. We want to push ourselves to the next step. We are trying to see what we can do better. Like, so one of the things we noticed is we are doing manual actions whenever an on-call engineer receives an alert. It's a regular on-call alert. We want to make it as auto action and auto remediation. That's the one of the big projects which we are driving right now, which will help increase productivity to super productivity for the employees, where we can focus on innovations. Second is, when we do that, not just productivity improvements, what we're also trying to focus is here is automating the incident runbook process, which will help us to show the reliability. So are we satisfied with that? No. What we want to do next is, hey, how do we adopt full stack observability? For example, you can see in that full stack, the cloud providers are at the bottom of it. And then you
Yeah.
have the different stacks like
Yeah.
Q stack or RDS stack or front end app stack, CloudWatch, all the logs
Mhm.
and the same logs like security logs. So now we have at the top, which is a covering, which the Sumo Logic full
Yeah.
stack observability. So the two star marks, which is the AWS observability and traces, we are not using it today, but we want to use it in the coming months. And then the alert response also grouping, which will try to reduce the number of alert monitoring as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a big hamburger. So it's like layer upon layer upon layer.
Yeah.
And I love your approach to it, especially when you're doing incident remediation, because that interruption is like a big productivity problem, especially when it's 3 a.m. and you're waking up your entire family because your pager's going off. That's never a good thing.
In our case, we are lucky that we have the offshore team. We have a split between the U.S., but still, every minute we waste is time which we can save to run the incident, recover the incident quickly.
Yeah. So I mean, let's look at like how you're doing this with the manual remediation right
Sure.
now.
So when we start with the manual action and remediation, you can see the left side, Sumo Logic, standard Sumo Logic monitor or a schedule search. It monitors certain activity like certain patterns of logs,
It
and
just
then it
detects
triggers
something. It's
Yeah.
something happened.
Yeah. So it triggers an alert. Now, an Opsgenie is like a PagerDuty for us, which we use to do escalation management, and then we trigger that to on-call engineer who gets the call. So when we get the call, the first thing is we have huge CloudOps team. Lot of people, we cannot make everybody aware of all the runbooks. So we created a lot of runbooks, defined like a known workflows, what we need to do. So they go to the toolbox, just triage wiki and read which one. If they're already familiar with it, then they go ahead and execute. So because continuously we are changing the runbooks, so it's always good to refer the runbooks. And then we go to the manual remediation process
Yeah.
or manual action. So here, if you look at it from the time the incident occurred, which is in the left-hand side,
Yeah.
so it takes a long time to recover.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, something happened. Let me go find my run book and then do the actions, and then everything's fine, like quick fix. So what you described is just the manual process of like having to go in, having somebody look at the run book, then do the manual actions. But that's, like you said, like it's going to take a long time. So let's talk about what your future state looks like.
Awesome. So if you look at the left-hand side, Sumo Logic monitors is there, and then schedule search is there. It triggers the alert. Then Opsgenie act on it immediately because it's an automated system there. Then instead of triaging this call to on-call engineers, what we have done is we have Shoreline taking the runbooks, which is already deployed in OpsPack using Terraform kind of a code, and then auto actions are taken. Hey, why it is super critical for us? Like there was an incident where we had a Kubernetes bug which triggered the Fluentbit not ingesting the logs for us for certain deployments in the Kubernetes. So what happened there is we have to do 1 to 3 manual actions a day, which is around like I do a kubectl config and check and restart the Fluentbit pod. So it's a lot of manual steps. Not everybody is Kubernetes savvy, but if we want to make it real time, so it's Sumo Logic engineers are familiar with this process really quickly. They can act on it quickly. But if you want to talk about the 20 plus people focusing on an on-call, it's a little longer time for them to run through the run book and then apply. So here, it saves around 45 minutes. By the time we lost like 30, 40 minutes, if there is an incident happen during that time,
You lose
we are not having that data in real time to troubleshoot the issue. So this caused a lot of initial days not trust in the platform, but we soon found that, hey, auto remediation helped us to build the trust back to the system. So it's not the Sumo's problem, it's a Kubernetes problem, but for customers like engineering and others, it's the Sumo is their front end.
Yeah, they still have to deal with it, and it's probably super annoying to like have to do over and over and over like these manual actions.
Yeah.
And so I mean, 1 to 3 manual actions per day. I mean, that's a lot. And when we were talking like and doing this, it's like it's not just the interruption. It's like when you're doing something and then you get interrupted, you have to go do something else. It takes what you said, like 20 minutes to get back into the flow of what you were doing.
Exactly.
So that's additional just time.
Yeah, this is just an action which is 15 minutes, but the context is even more.
Yeah, exactly. So as you move forward, let's talk about like how you're using Shoreline and sort of the cycle that you're going to be implementing.
So Sumo already has certain things, but we looked at it, but we want to do more, like in terms of incident runbooks. So here we use Shoreline as our platform, where Sumo Logic monitors our schedule search, invokes the Shoreline actions, and then actions will trigger a remediation script, and then followed by auto remediation or auto action, basically. So that's the standard flow we walk through.
Yeah, so you use Sumo Logic to like, hey, something's not right. Let me invoke the Shoreline to then it's going to decide like, oh, I'm not getting logs or something like that. Then it's going to invoke your remediation script and removing the engineer completely out of it and having it just work.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much for chatting with us and just sharing your journey and how you're leveraging the awesome like areas of Sumo Logic where you're looking at needles and needle stacks and just running it down and then using the technology to then integrate and then make it more automated. But automation anywhere, like, well, why wouldn't you automate whatever you can?
Yeah. So we are not done with what we have. We need to go back to Illuminate Conference and look at what our other folks are doing.
Yeah.
Where are we missing in our automation? How do we automate everywhere in our automation platform? And definitely, we have grown from a small footprint of Sumo in the last few years into one of a strategic partnership. I really thank the Sumo here. They are really helpful in helping us to build the observability platform here.
That's awesome. And we appreciate your partnership, and I appreciate you joining us today. So thank you again, Raj. And our LinkedIn information is right on the screen if you wanted to chat or ask any questions or get more tips and tricks from Raj and Automation Anywhere.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm available in the LinkedIn. Reach out to me. I'll be happy to get on to a call if you need any guidance from our learnings, our mistakes, and how we can help you to transform your Sumo experience.
Great.
Thank you.